Welcome to the Rewire and Thrive podcast. I am your host, Laura Stiles, clinical hypnotherapist and parent coach at The Mindful Generation. You're in the right place if you're ready to transform your mind, break cycles, and reclaim your power for a life of purpose and freedom. Let's dive in. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are diving into a topic that so many parents grapple with, and that is discipline. More specifically, how to set boundaries without shame. Because honestly, most of us were raised in a way where discipline often meant punishment, fear, or even shame. And there's a better way. So I would like to go into the subject of shame, but I might just save that till later on in the episode because it's such an interesting one. It really is like an undercurrent in all of us that runs a lot of what we do. So I'll come back to that. But if you've ever found yourself yelling, feeling guilty, or unsure about how to set clear boundaries without damaging your child's confidence, this episode is for you. We are going to explore what discipline really means, how to shift from reactive to mindful parenting, and why shame has no place in teaching our children about boundaries. So whether you're listening whilst making a cup of tea, doing the school run, or finally sitting down for a moment of peace, let's take a deep breath together and dive in. So discipline, it's not about control. It is not about making kids obedient. The root of the word, discipline, comes from a Latin word, discipulus, which means student or learner. And so basically at its core, discipline is about teaching. Many of us grew up with discipline that felt more like punishment, being shouted at, sent to our rooms, or even shamed for our mistakes. And that can lead us to parent in two ways, either repeating the cycle or swinging the other way and struggling to set firm boundaries at all. So more of a permissive kind of parenting style. Today, let's redefine discipline. Instead of asking, how do I make my child listen? Let's ask, how do I guide my child with respect, whilst also keeping a strong, loving connection? Discipline should never be about making a child feel bad about themselves. It should be about helping them learn how to navigate the world in a way that's safe, kind, and respectful. Now, there is a real misconception around gentle parenting, conscious parenting, mindful parenting, respectful parenting, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter what it's called. It should just be called parenting. But the misconception is that you just let your kids do what they want with no boundaries. You're a snowflake and you just let them rule the roost, essentially. But actually, boundaries play a really big role. The reason boundaries are so important for children is because they will help your children to feel secure and safe and have high self-esteem. Without boundaries, you're most likely going to have children who are more likely to have pretty low self-esteem and possibly anxiety because everything feels unpredictable and there's no structure there. So the role of boundaries are very important. Kids actually crave them. Kids love routine. They love rules. They want to know what is keeping them safe. And a world with no rules or structure can feel really overwhelming and unpredictable. Boundaries should be firm and loving. So if you picture it like this, boundaries are like the walls of a house. They provide safety and structure, but inside there's warmth, comfort, and connection. A boundary without warmth can feel like a prison. A home without walls feels chaotic and unsafe. Our goal is to find the balance between the two. For example, instead of saying, "Stop whining, you're being ridiculous," you can try, "I hear that you're frustrated. I won't let you speak to me that way, but I'm here to help you when you're ready." And instead of saying, "You better eat your dinner, otherwise you're not getting dessert," you can try saying, "You don't have to eat, but this is the only dinner that's on offer for tonight." We can be firm with our boundaries without shaming our kids for having feelings about them. I'd like to also talk about shame versus accountability, so we can correct without criticism, because this is a big one. How do we hold our kids accountable without making them feel ashamed? Shame sounds like Why are you always so difficult? You never listen. And I'm so disappointed in you. Whereas accountability sounds like, I love you and I won't let you hit your sister. It's okay to be upset, but it's not okay to scream at me. Or let's take a break and figure this out together. Shame makes kids feel bad about who they are. Accountability teaches them what to do instead. So it helps them learn that they can make mistakes, repair, and try again. And here's the thing, our kids learn how to handle their emotions by watching us. So if we fly off the handle and then beat ourselves up about it, they learn shame. If we model taking a deep breath and apologising when we make mistakes, they learn self-compassion. So last week, I was having a really difficult morning with my 5-year-old. We were struggling to get out of the house. He did not want to go to school. He was having a bad time. I felt really sorry for him, but at the same time, we needed to get to school. They've just introduced this new rule at my kids' school, which means if you're late now, you have to go through the reception and fill out a form. And if it happens a certain amount of times, you get penalised. So it means that there's a lot more pressure in the mornings. You know, previously, if one of the kids was having a meltdown, I would literally sit with their emotions, help them through it, comfort them, do what I needed to do to ensure that all of our nervous systems were back to a safe, calm place, ready for learning, because kids can't learn when they go into school feeling anxious and stressed. Whereas now, it all feels a little bit more rushed if we're having a morning where things are tricky and they haven't, they've not wanted to get out of bed, that kind of thing. It all feels a bit more pressured now. So, the other day, I was having a bit of a stressful morning with my youngest because the clock was ticking. So obviously I'm feeling more stressed because I've now got this new pressure. And I ended up getting really dysregulated myself and shouting. But as soon as we got into the car and I calmed down, I said to the kids, I am so sorry. That is not the parent I wish to be. That's not how I want to be talking to you guys. And I said, I'm going to take some deep breaths now. And I'm sorry, because parents do make mistakes too. And I corrected it and repaired it. So I'm hoping that they are going to be learning self-compassion from those kinds of examples. And this really doesn't happen very often these days. In the past, I would get angry and it would be really hard because I didn't know how to overcome that, and it would be the same cycle over and over. But because I've done so much work on myself, having my own therapy and coaching and more self-awareness and learning to pause and all of the things that I've learned over the past 6 years or so has allowed me to widen my window of tolerance and get to a state where actually most of the time I'm pretty calm and I know how to ride these storms and go with the flow in the moment. But I'm still a human being, and every now and then things don't go as well as I'd like them to have gone because I'm still a human being. And when my cup is not filled, I had a weekend of essentially solo parenting and then a few days of really big frustration and just real anger and big emotions from my youngest. So after sort of 3 or 4 days of dealing with all of that on my own, that's when you're bound to have your own meltdown. And it's pretty normal for us to do, but we just need to focus on the repair afterwards when that does happen. So let's get practical. How can we set boundaries whilst keeping our kids' self-esteem intact? Here are some tools. You've got the calm and clear approach. When setting a boundary, stay calm and state it clearly. Instead of, I'm sick of telling you to pick up your toys, you can try saying, it's time to clean up now. Do you want to start with the blocks or the cars? I also set a little bit of a timer beforehand because I think a timer helps with the younger ones as well. Connect before you correct. If a child is dysregulated, shouting will not help. Kneel down or crouch down, make eye contact and say something like, I see you are really frustrated. Let's take a deep breath together before we talk about what happened. And then offering choices. Giving kids some control makes them more cooperative. Instead of, put your coat on now, we need to go. Try saying, would you like to wear your coat or carry it until you feel cold? And then you've got the do-over strategy. If a child speaks rudely, instead of shaming, offer a redo. That came out a bit unkind. Try again in a way that feels good for both of us. I've had to do a lot of that recently. And then modelling repair. If you lose your cool, show them how to repair. I got frustrated and I raised my voice. I am sorry. I'm going to try again. This teaches them that mistakes aren't shameful. They are opportunities to learn. Parenting is bloody hard. No one gets it right all the time. But if we can shift from control to guidance and from punishment to teaching and from shame to accountability, we are already breaking cycles. So I'm just going to leave you with some affirmations. If you are not into this, just listen and take it in, but whatever, you don't have to do it. But repeat after me in your head if you do want to get involved. I do love an affirmation. Okay. I am a calm, confident parent. Boundaries help my child feel safe. I can be firm and kind at the same time. I am teaching, not punishing. It's okay to make mistakes. I can always repair. Before we wrap up, I want you to really hear what I'm about to say next, because this might be the most important thing that you take away today. Every single human on this earth, every single one of us, is riddled with guilt and shame, whether we like it or not. Whether we think that we are not, we are. All of us are. And the tricky thing about shame is that it's really sneaky. It hides in the way we second-guess ourselves, the way that we hold back from speaking up, the way we sabotage our own success and happiness. It's literally like an undercurrent in everything we do. And you might think that your ability to create the life and success that you dream about is determined by how much talent you have, or how much knowledge you've gained, or how many qualifications you've collected, or how smart you are. And sure, those things do play a role. They're all factors. But the real factor that determines how far you go in life is how much shame and guilt you carry in your body. So just take a moment now and ask yourself, how might shame be holding me back? It's there, whether you realise it or not, and it's a collective issue, especially in the white Western world, where from the moment we're born, we're taught to comply, to behave, to be good, to meet expectations. Shame is embedded in our schools, our families, in the systems that we live within. But here's the thing. Shame wants to stay hidden, and that's how it works. It convinces you that it's just you, that you're the one with the flawed brain and the one who just can't get it together. But that's a lie. Shame keeps you stuck, and it's why you take one step forward and then you feel like you're pushed 5 steps back. And it's why you hesitate to go after what you want, and why you feel like you're almost there but never quite enough. But what you don't have to do is live this way. If we truly want to change our lives, if we want to change the world for our children, it starts with us. We do not have to be well all the time. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be attractive and doing great all the time. It's just unattainable. We're not here to be flawless, to be constantly achieving, and to meet every expectation placed upon us. So I invite you to stop giving yourself such a hard time. Stop being afraid of yourself. Stop letting shame run the show. You are not your thoughts, and you are not your worst moments. Subconsciously, you might make a decision today, maybe in the next half an hour, where you say no to something. And it's literally going to be driven by shame, or something in your subconscious that's like, oh, absolutely not, I'm not doing that. But you're not here to prove anything to anyone. And those subconscious thoughts and our conditioning can totally be changed and rewired at a deep level. So at the end of the day, just remember, we're all just made of stardust. So stop pathologizing every thought that you have. Stop trying to fix yourself and instead focus on living. Enjoy your life more. Play more. Be silly. Be messy. Make mistakes. Embrace the mistakes and laugh at them. Just let things be lighter and easier. Stop trying to force all the time. That's where real freedom begins. And that is a really good place to start. If you have listened to that and you're still a bit unsure about what I'm saying or confused about it, drop me a DM or email me. I'd love to be able to, because sometimes I think on here I go off on a tangent, but actually it might be hard for us to really recognise what exactly is driving us in terms of shame. And it is so sneaky. So if you do have any questions, just get in touch. I'd love to be able to explain or help you to stop it in its tracks day to day. So yeah, thank you for being here today. If this resonated with you and if something clicked, if you had a moment where you thought, wow, that's me, just sit with it and let it sink in. And I do have one final thing to make you aware of. At the time of recording this, we are nearing Mother's Day, and I have a big promotion coming up for it where 2 mums can get the opportunity to do my 4-week programme, which is called the 4-Week Awakening. It's a mini version of my signature programme, which is called Rewire and Thrive. And from Friday the 28th to close of play, Sunday the 30th of March, you can take advantage of this at 40% off. So keep an eye on my socials. You can find me at The Mindful Generation, and there's more to come on that. So if you have loved this podcast, I'd love for you to leave a review or share this episode with a friend or anyone who you think it would help. And feel free to send me a message. I always love hearing from people. Until next time, be kind to yourself. You are doing better than you think, and you are already enough. Bye.